If I can have everybody's attention, please, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening to everybody and welcome. We appreciate everybody coming out. I know from a standpoint of our board, we were very encouraged by trying to have a better student attendance. So let's give all the kids and their parents a round of applause for making it out this evening, please. There's a lot of people that work, around the clock, around the year, but today around the clock to make this banquet, a success. And I have to thank, our fellow board members as well as Pickwick Schools for allowing us to open up and use their facilities. I think it's very welcoming. It's encouraging to me to know that they're supportive of PROD, so that's very important. I want you to put your attention, if you would, please, to our booklet. We have to thank Mrs. Tamara Moore who put this together for us. She's a great, not only a great woman, but somebody that works hard for PROD and drives all the way from outside of Trotwood to be with us in our meetings and things, and she couldn't make it today. This organization was first started out of a Bible study in 1999, and it was it was founded for Doug Smith, who was an educator at East High School in Columbus, and he was tragically killed in 1998 in a car accident. And out of that, the Doug Smith Memorial Banquet started in 2001. PROD was formed in 1999, and this is our 17th annual banquet. So we're thankful to be here again and supporting our children and promoting diversity. I think it's important now more than ever that we not only honor our children, but that we encourage them that they can be anything they want to be. And it's very important. I know myself living in Troy, growing up as a kid, when you don't see people that look like you in positions, it makes you wonder if you can be that person. So I think it's very, very, very important that, the young people know that through education, through merit, through their behavior, that they're able to be honored, not only at this banquet, but, then see them on to be able to go and even receive scholarships, come back and be educators in the community. And everybody that knows, Larry and Linda, they put a lot of time not only to the kids in Pickwick, but to PROD. And I think for them, it's always been a dream to get, our people to come back here and teach in Pickwick and Troy. And I'm just encouraged that these children came out today, that you parents are here to support them, and we're just going to open the Pledge of Allegiance. I think the closest flag is in the gymnasium, maybe, unless I don't see another flag. Why don't we face, if we could, this direction, and we'll open the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and one republic for one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You can be seated. Another thing, too, I'd like to do, I don't know if we have any of our elected officials. I know the Chief of Police has been here in the past. We'd like to, number one, thank them for coming out and honor them for being a part of this. As you guys make your way in, there's another thing that's really important I want to talk about is we've been working hard on trying to grow our organization, and we need vessels and willing people to help us. So anybody that supports PROD, supports our kids and what we're doing, I'd like to encourage you to get with me, get with Mr. Hamilton, Marvin in the back. Linda, please get with one of our board members, because we definitely need some work in terms of some people to help us make this thing move forward. So at this time, we'll call David Williams up to the podium. He's going to send us a welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
You guys sound like you're excited to be here. And this is a great place to be. I was sitting here thinking like 15, 20 minutes before we started. We was wondering if anybody was going to be here. It was like only 5 or 10 people, but I knew we was going to be here because I know sometimes we get there right before it starts, but we get there. So I just want to thank you all for making the time to come out here during your busy work schedules. And we know the kids are out of school. At least I hope they're all out for the summer, so we hope you enjoy your summer break. I want to thank our keynote speaker, Mr. Matthew Boaz, for being here tonight. We thank you for making a trip, journey for here. We thank you for the family for being here with you. We thank you for the students. We thank you for the parents, the grandparents, the teachers, the family, the friends, the aunt, uncles, anyone who had anything to do with anybody being here tonight. We just thank you for being here, because we know you could have chose to be anywhere else. So we thank you for spending a little time to just show how important it is. This is going to have an impact on one or more individuals, and maybe 10, 20 years from now, it's going to resonate with them, and they're going to be able to make a difference in someone else's life. So don't think that these certificates or these trophies or these awards, don't think that they're just something you just go throw in the back of your closet or in your memorabilia. You want you to be proud of that and be proud of what you have earned. But there's still much to go because too much is given, much is required. So don't think this is the end of anything. You're just getting warmed up. You're just getting revved up. You got a long way to go. So we want to thank all those for being here. We want to welcome you to our 17th PROD, in case you're not sure what that is. That acronym means Promoting Recognition of Diversity. So we thank you for being here for the 17th PROD Doug Smith Memorial Banquet. So we thank you for being here. We hope you enjoy the food. We hope you enjoy the presentation. We hope you enjoy the speaker as he brings his message that he'll be bringing today. I'm not sure if there are any dignitaries here, but we thank you for being here. We thank you, Dr. Moore, for being here, and any other clergy members or pastors that are here. I've omitted. We just thank you for being here. We hope everyone just sits back and enjoy. Thank you again.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this 17th year of PROD as we reflect and celebrate each and every student, family member, friend that has gathered here on tonight. God, as we prepare to partake of this food, we ask that you would bless this food, fellowship, and friendship amongst us. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
At this time, we're going to release for dinner. And what I'd like to do is we'll go these front tables, 1, 2, our guest table here, and these 2 tables here. And what we'll do is after we get seated, after people get seated, we'll release the other tables. One other thing too that I missed doing is I want to go over our entire list of board members because we've got a lot of people here and that couldn't be here as well. Joanne Anderson, who helps us tremendously, Mr. Larry Hamilton, David Williams, who was just here, Margaret Archibald, Reverend Dr. Gene Moore, Linda Hamilton, and Mrs. Tamara Moore and myself. So I want to make sure our board not only knows that I'm thankful for them, but I know it's been a lot of work, so we're grateful for the people to make this possible. So those first 5 tables, let's give them a round of applause, right? Please, definitely.
Good evening, once again. My name is Larry Hamilton. I am one of the original founders of PROD, Promoting Recognition of Diversity. And I had one of my friends and church members approach me just a little while ago and ask me a question that she had been asked by other people who are parents of our PROD scholars. And I wanted to take a moment before introducing our guest speaker to address that question. For 27 of the 30 years that I taught at Pickwill High School, I was the only person of color on staff. 27 of the 30 years. The question that was posed to me was, is PROD only connected with providing scholarship assistance to those who are intent upon becoming teachers? Or does it also support students of color who are interested in going into other areas but also want to have the support of the community in scholarship assistance? And the answer to the question is that as a teacher of color, recognizing and not seeing other staff members of color, it became a driving force or passion for me to promote the idea of assisting the Pickwill Board of Education primarily in aiding the recruitment of minority teacher candidates. So that's the answer to the question. Our focus in PROD is assisting the Piqua Board of Education in enhancing its staff with diversity. It's difficult enough to procure scholarship monies to help with those who are interested in becoming teachers, and it would be terribly difficult and challenging to be able to fund scholarship assistance on the part of any student of color who was interested in going to any area of orientation into the college. So we are interested in trying to bring back to Piqua, Troy, Sydney, this West Central Ohio area, those students of color who have grown up here. We recognize that some people who live in Columbus or Dayton or Cincinnati might not be culturally familiar with the kind of climate that we have developed here and recognize in terms of our growth and maturity in this area. So it's important for us to encourage those students who have grown up here to have an inclination to come back and return and give back to the West Central Ohio area. Now having said that, I want to move forward with the program here, and we are fortunate and blessed to have with us this evening a giant in the area of equity, inclusion, and diversity. He is a gentleman from Wright State University who has served his community well in terms of moving all over the state of Ohio. He's been serving not only at Wright State, but he attended Bowling Green State University, where he also knew my son, who was working on his master's degree at the time. He also was at the University of Cincinnati, which is also the school that my daughter, Erica, graduated from. So it seems as if he's, and Miami, which my other son, John, also attended it. So it seems as if he's following all of my children around to these various locations. And he's a young man who has a great deal of passion and service. And I thank him for his service. A lot of people say, and by the way, he's a Navy veteran. And so you often hear people say, thank you for your service. Well, I thank you for your military service, but I thank you more importantly for your service to the community, for your willingness to make sacrifices on behalf of serving the interest of equity and inclusion. And it's important that we have people like this young man who are willing to make those kinds of sacrifices on behalf of a larger, wider community. Just to give you a little bit of information about his background, Matthew has directed the efforts to obtain and maintain an environment of equity and equal opportunity at Miami University and the University of Cincinnati. He is a member of American Association for Access, Equity, and Diversity, the National Association of Diversity Officers in Higher Education, and the Ohio chapter of the Industry Liaison Group. He's a graduate of Bowling Green State University. More importantly, he's a person that I've come to know. He was willing to come and familiarize me and my wife with him. We invited him up for a breakfast and outing in Piqua. And we discovered that he's aware, and as young folks in the hip hop generation say, he's woke. So we appreciate him, and we want to make sure that you extend to our guest speaker, Matthew Boaz, a warm welcome to the Pickle community. Matt.
Well, I don't know if I can come up here and do anything after that. First of all, I want to thank everyone for having me here. I'm very honored to be here tonight. I'm honored to be invited to spend an evening honoring young students. Education is very important to me. That was really asserted early on by my parents. I was raised by two parents, 6th grade education and an 11th grade education, and they believed that education was a passport to greater things, so they really pushed us in school. So anytime I get a chance to honor people for their educational efforts, I'm all in. So thank you for having me here tonight. I'd like to start off by asking a couple questions. When I walk into a room, what do you see? And I pose a question to anyone. Is there anyone willing to say anything that you see about me that you can tell about me when I walk into a room? Let's start with the obvious. Anybody? Black man. Anything else? Very tall? Okay. What's that now? Large. Exactly. I put down black, male, big, and what's one other thing that you can see?
Left tackle.
No? Well, I did play a little left tackle, but I was mostly right tackle. I wear glasses. But what is it when I walk into a room that you can't see about me? Mr. Hamilton gave you one of them. Education. I'm a first-generation college graduate. What else? He said I was a veteran. I'm the youngest of 10 children. I've lost both of my parents. I'm a twin, and I'm a twinless twin. Why do I say that? Because those are things that are very unique about me. They are my diversity. They're only part of it, but they drive a lot of what drives me. Being a twinless twin is an example. As we said, I walk into a room, people see black male, above average size, things like that. But what they don't know is that my twin passed away when I was 4 years old, and that is the driving force behind everything that I do. I live in a way to honor what he couldn't have. I figured that I was left here for a reason, and I have been trying every day to figure out what that is. I get up in the morning driven because of him. But most people look and say, oh, there's a black guy. I'm so much more than that, and each of you are so much more than that. The things that you see when I walk into a room, combined with the things that you don't see, are what make me very different from everyone, but it's also what makes me similar to everyone. Those different characteristics are things that I share with people. I have an entire group on my social media dedicated to twinless twins, and we connect all over the world through that, and it gives me an opportunity to meet people who are different, because that twinless twin may be the only thing we have in common. But then I learned so much about them. I met a woman from Germany, and she was telling me about all kinds of things that go on in Germany. I was telling her about things that go on in the States, and we had, good conversations around that. And it all started because we had a common characteristic. But we also had very many things that were very different, and it made the conversation interesting. And it connected us in a way that sometimes people never get to connect. The other thing about it is, by recognizing diversity and having those experiences, we can change the world. We live in a world that sometimes can be cruel. There is a lot of darkness in our world. Our theme this year is seeing light in a world of darkness. When I say darkness, I think of things like people talking and conversations about politics, and they just hunker down in their own political party or the political identity that they've decided to identify with, whether it be conservative or liberal. We're all guilty. We end friendships because we have different thoughts, when really we should be talking through those different thoughts to figure out how we can connect. We see darkness in school shootings and shootings in public spaces, nightclubs, concerts, schools, things like that. And instead of having conversations about how we can make the educational process a safe place to be, we talk about our political ideas about guns. And that's shameful, because we should be trying to find a way how everybody can honor everyone else's wishes, but come to some common ground to make sure that our kids are safe. I mean, at the end of the day, the most important thing for me in this world is to make sure my son is safe. We see things like people getting arrested at Starbucks for not ordering. Now, I don't know about you, but when I go in Starbucks, 3/4 of the people in there haven't ordered anything for 3 days, but they're still there. We see people getting arrested. A Yale graduate student got arrested for being in a library and falling asleep at the Yale library. She's paying for that library through her tuition, but you can get arrested for that. We see incidents of police brutality, things like that. And sometimes people that are injured in police brutality incidents weren't even engaged in criminal activity. We have people that get the police called on them for sleeping in a library and then something happens. Or we have a guy that was inspecting a home that he was purchasing, and the person didn't think he fit into the neighborhood, but didn't ask him why he was there, what he was doing. She made an assumption, and even when she made the assumption, he told her he was buying the house. And she still called the police because he didn't look right. If we recognize our diversity as something that makes us unique from one another, but also something that could possibly connect us, you won't have the police involved in that. You'll have a new person that you can communicate with. That could have been a good neighbor relationship. I remember when I moved into my neighborhood, most of the people that were in that neighborhood at the time didn't look like me. And I was concerned. Shame on me, because I stereotyped the neighbors. And before I could even get my truck unloaded, some of them showed up with fresh baked cookies. I don't think they were making cookies that morning before we arrived. I think they hurried out and got some batter and put the cookies in the oven and came over and introduced themselves. And it's been a great 12 years on that street. And it all started with them giving us a chance and us giving them a chance. And we have some great relationships on that street. I think I bring this up because if we want to see light in this world of darkness, we have to be a part of that. Ways that you can do that, think of what Dr. King said. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And we have to live by those words. We need to express ourselves with our individual ideas, but we need to give people space to challenge them and give ourselves space to challenge those things within us. If we do that, we will be contributing to a much lighter world. I say turn off your TV, turn off your social media for long periods of time, because what we see on there is just whatever someone wants to feed us. And sometimes I'll read my feed and I feel like a sheep, because it's just, one garbage thing after another. And it could be someone I went to school with, it could be someone I worked with years ago, it could be someone I work with now. And we just don't have similar ideologies. And sometimes I feel like they're just spouting whatever channel they watch on both ends of the spectrum. I'm not here to stand on one end or the other. I think it's all garbage. And I think it's important for us to think for ourselves and think based on our own individual experiences. My neighbors that I told you baked the cookies put out a political sign that it shocked me, I will say that, because it didn't line up with what I thought they thought. But at the same time, I really had to check myself, because these are the same people that brought cookies over. So it's like they're not horrible, but I had referred to a lot of people who put the same sign up in their yard as horrible, and I really had to check myself. Because it's like I need to address them based on what they do every day when they mow my yard when I'm on vacation, when they come and check my mail so nobody can steal my checks, and things like that. Not that they have different political ideas. That's how I bring light to the world. And I hope they do the same for me, because I put my sign out too. And they looked at me like, didn't know he was one of them. But we laughed about it a couple days later, because I was like, I was about to tear your sign out of your yard. And he's like, and I was about to emphasize my Second Amendment. And I said, okay, fair enough. I think it's important for us to educate ourselves, seek deeper knowledge and understanding than what's offered through the media or our TV stations or whatever. Research as much as you can about topics so that you understand what's going on around you. Half the time, if we listen to politicians, something's going on and they're smoke screening us with something else. And we're sitting there as their lapdogs, just following whatever the story was that they fed us. And then we're just getting further and further apart. And they're making more and more money on our backs. We have to stand up for ourselves, stand up for unity, stand up for diversity and inclusion, and try to contribute to this world so that we're a light instead of more of the darkness. How can you do that? Contribute to things like go build a house through Habitat for Humanity. You know, donate to something like Red Nose Day that fights poverty all over the world. You can have an impact on someone clear on the other side of the world by just donating $1 for a red nose at Walgreens. Things like that. Big Brothers and Big Sisters is a good way to do it. You'd be surprised at the number of kids that need a big brother or big sister. And a lot of times you can learn something from that kid because they're having some life experiences that you may not have ever encountered. And then they'll teach you something, but you get an opportunity to teach them something. Reach out to people. If there's some kind of natural disaster near you, drive down there and see what you can do. You might be able to help a flood victim or a fire victim, something like that. And if you're not the type of person, if you're not hands-on, if you're not a go there and get involved, you know, try to find a way to raise money on their behalf. And you can press a button on Facebook and start a GoFundMe page and raise some money on behalf of people that are going through tragedy. It's very important that we do this, and at your bare bones minimum, if you don't do anything else, vote in elections that you're eligible to vote in, because that can have a big impact on our world. It's important for us for seeing light in the world of darkness. However, it's also said that if a man does not know what harbor he is seeking, no light will be good enough for him. If you don't know where you're going, any road will lead you there. As I've said before, some of us are just sheep, and whatever shepherd comes along and pushes us in a direction, we'll run that way. It's very important for us to have our individual identities, to shine our light on people, to recognize that we have light and act on it. Mine started with my father. When I was getting ready to get married, my father had passed away like a few years before that. But I wanted him to be part of the ceremony, and I didn't know how to do it. So I was walking, and I was actually talking to a friend of mine as we were walking through the mall. We were going to get measured for our tuxes. And I just happened to look over at the store right when I was telling him the story about I wanted my father to be somehow involved in our wedding. And I saw this little lighthouse in a window of a store. And I went in there and I bought the lighthouse. And I put these words on the program. Placed within the altar area is a small lighthouse, symbolic of the groom's late father. Small because he was a modest man who always provided guidance for his family, just as a lighthouse guides ships into a harbor. And it was very important for me to have him involved in my wedding. That started a big trend in my family, because people started buying me lighthouses and now have a collection of them. It's important for us to be someone's light. Be the light and the change that you want to see in the world. Be like the little African-American boy that I just saw 2 weeks ago. Maybe it was only a week ago, but he was on the news because he talked his mom into pulling the car over because he saw this little older white lady trying to climb stairs with a walker, and she wasn't doing very well, so he wanted to make sure she got up there okay. That kid is shining light in this world. Be like my father-in-law who owns a one-chair barbershop and occasionally shuts his barbershop down, losing profit, to go to a nursing home to cut people's hair in a nursing home that are immobile. That's him shining light. He's not a big, rah-rah, look at me kind of guy, but he's doing his part in the world to shine light on it. Be like the man that was eating at Waffle House a couple months ago, and a man arrived to start a mass shooting. Now, mind you, there was less than probably 10 people in a Waffle House, but that's 10 lives. He started shooting people in the parking lot, and he worked his way into the building. And by that time, this guy was seeking shelter, but he saw an opportunity to tackle the guy and fight with him and get the gun away from him, save multiple lives. He didn't stop there. When someone started a GoFundMe page for him to raise money to support him because of the noble act that he did, he took that money and dedicated it to the other victims and the families of the victims who died. That is someone shining light in this world. Maya Angelou was credited with saying, at the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did, they will remember how you made them feel. It's important for us to shine our light. We have all these young people in the room, and you're gonna get older, and you'll get an opportunity to shine your light. It's important for us that are a little older than them to shine our light on them, to give them the legs to go out there and do that. I asked the question, how will you keep your light lit? Know the difference between being involved and being committed is the difference between a chicken and a pig on your breakfast table. Because if you're sitting there looking at eggs and bacon, the chicken was involved, but the pig was committed. It's very important that we know the difference between being involved and being committed. In the words of morning radio show host and Dayton native Joe Madison, the difference between a moment and a movement is sacrifice. It's important that we be willing to sacrifice for others. And I'm not saying always be the pig and sacrifice your life, but sacrifice your time. Take time to say hi to someone. They may be having the worst day in the world, and just that smile, or that someone asked and someone cared as to whether or not they were having a good or a bad day, might make the difference in their life. I want to leave you with a poem and some song lyrics. The poem is one of my favorites. I won't say the name of it until the end. 6 humans trapped by happenstance in dark and bitter cold. Each one possessed a stick of wood, or so the story's told. Their dying fire was in need of logs, but one man held his back. For on the faces around the fire, he noticed one was black. The next one, looking across the way, saw one not of her church, and could not bring herself to give the fire her stick of birch. The third one sat in tattered clothes, and gave his coat a hitch. Why should my log be used to aid the idle rich? The rich woman just sat back and thought of the wealth she had in store, and how to keep what she had earned from the lazy, shiftless poor. The black man's face bespoke revenge as the fire passed from his sight, for all he saw in his stick of wood was a chance to spite the white. The last woman in this forlorn group did nothing except for gain, giving to those who gave was how she played the game. 6 logs held tight in death's still hands was proof of human sin. They did not die from the cold without, they died from the cold within. It's important for us to understand that if we don't embrace diversity and we don't operate with inclusion, we don't try to champion these ideals, we'll end up around that fire dead. This world can be ugly, but it's only if we let it. It's very important for us to keep that light lit. I'm going to leave you in honor of my mother with one of the lyrics of one of her favorite songs. I'm not going to sing because I don't want anyone to just pass out. Light that shines is the light of love, hides the darkness from above, shines on me and it shines on you, shows you what the power of love can do. Shine my light both bright and clear, shine my light both far and near. In every dark corner that I find, let my little light shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your message, Matthew. Very fitting for our kind of what we had picked for our topic for this year. So the lighthouse theme is really touching to us, because whenever we came up with a theme, the piece we have on the front, seeing light in a world of darkness, was really fitting for what we saw going on in the world. So let's give him another round of applause for being with us today, being a part of PROD. And there is a difference between being involved and being committed. And that's we all know that. It's a big difference. People say you were there, but you know, what did you do? One thing I'd like to do, we have our, this is the time when we're going to honor our PROD scholars for this year, and we're very happy to have them here with us. One thing I'd like to touch on is, in your booklet, I think it's about the 6th page, maybe the 8th page, is just an update from our PROD scholarship recipients. Just want to kind of hold your applause to the end, but none of them are here with us today, I believe, but they're kids that have came up through our program that are doing well educationally. We're very thankful. Darian Wilkerson, Gregory Johnson, who I was just told that Gregory will be a teacher at the Troy Junior High this year, so I know that has to make Larry happy, and that he, when he talked to you about the vision for PROD in terms of the scholarship, that's exactly what it's about. He went to Walsh University, he's coming back to teach the Troy Junior High. Tyel Booker, who was at currently Ohio State, and Deja Cole, and Deja is at Sinclair and aspirations of transferring. So let's give all our PROD scholarship recipients a round of applause, please. At this time, I want to ask if Linda and Larry, maybe if you guys could come forward, and we could prepare to honor our 2018 PROD scholars. We also want to say that we apologize for anybody that's not pictured. We had a very tight deadline on the book, and we tried to leave everybody enough time, but we apologize. We tried to list those that weren't pictured, so we do apologize for that. We'll go in alphabetical order. If you could make your way up here to my left, and we'll have the kids stand off here to the right, so come from your left to the right. We want them all up here together, guys, or after they get their award, and then we'll get a picture or something together. Sounds good. Okay. Our first scholar, 2018 PROD scholar, is Xandria Abrams. Give her a round of applause, please. I hope I said that correct. Next we have Kaya Atkins. Give Kaya a round of applause, please. Our next PROD scholar for 2018 is Quentin Atkins. Give Quentin a round of applause, please. Quentin and Xavier, neither one of them are here with us. Let's give Xavier a round of applause, please. Xavier and Quentin Atkins. Next we have Maya Albert. Give Maya a round of applause, please. We'll ask the PROD scholars stay standing up here. We're going to get a group photo together at the end. Our next PROD scholar is Mr. James Anderson. Give James a round of applause, please. And we have Mrs. Hannah Bailey. Give Hannah a round of applause, please. Next we have Alana Bolden. Give Alana a round of applause, please. We have Camille and Cameron Brown. I know they couldn't be with us here today. Let's give them both a round of applause, please. We have Asia Burge. Give Asia a round of applause, please. I know a lot of people may not be aware, but how the criteria for this banquet is that students of color with a 2.75 grade point average for the first 3 quarters, so cumulative GPA, are eligible to attend this banquet. So just if anybody wondered how these kids were eligible for this. Next we have Adriana Chambers. Give Adriana a round of applause, please. And we have Malia Chambers. Give Malia a round of applause, please. Our next scholar is Braylon Cooper. Give Braylon a round of applause, please. Our next scholar is Devea Cooper. Give Devea a round of applause, please. Our next 2018 scholar is Vivica Davis. Give Vivica a round of applause, please. Our next scholar is Taylor Foster. Give Taylor a round of applause, please. Kelsey Franklin. We give Kelsey a round of applause, please. Next, we have Jesse Furman II. Give Jesse a round of applause, please. Our next PROD scholar is Kanaya Gotzi. Give Kanaya a round of applause, please. And Alasia Hale. Give Alasia a round of applause, please. Our next scholar is Mr. Lance Reed Fix. Let's give Lance a round of applause, please. Our next scholar is Laura Holycross. Let's give Laura a round of applause, please. I'm biased because I'm a Troy guy, but Laura also deserves a round of applause. She just competed in the state track meet. She did really well. So. Our next scholar is Julian Javier. Give Julian a round of applause. Good job, Julian.
Good job, man.
Next, we have Jordan Jones. Give Jordan a round of applause, please. And next, we have Kendall Jones. Give Kendall a round of applause, please. Our next PROD scholar is Brooklyn Jolly. Give Brooklyn a round of applause, please. Next we have Daria Lee. Let's give Daria a round of applause, please. Daria's been involved in PROD longer than me, I think. Bless her heart. I know whenever I got involved, she would be sitting on the couches with her mother and whenever she'd be at the meetings. So we're very thankful for her mother's commitment and everything Daria Lee has done for PROD. Our next recipient is Caden Lee. Let's give Caden a round of applause, please. Our next PROD scholarship recipient is Cameron Lee. Let's give Cameron a round of applause, please. And next we have Kirsten Lee. Let's give Kirsten a round of applause, please. Our next PROD scholar is Layla Lucas. Give Layla a round of applause, please. Andrea Mars. Let's give Andrea a round of applause, please. Next up, we have Lauren Mitchell. Give Lauren a round of applause, please. And Madeline Mitchell. Give Madeline a round of applause, please. Next, we have Zachary Reichelderfer. Give Zachary a round of applause. And Bryson Roberts. Let's give Bryson a round of applause. Our next PROD scholar is Jalen Roberts. Give Jalen a round of applause. And next we have Layla Roberts. Am I saying that correct? Layla Roberts. Give Layla a round of applause, please. Good job, Layla. And next we have Brianna Sims. Give Brianna a round of applause, please. We have Raquela Smith. Give Raquela a round of applause, please. Our next PROD scholar is Sean Smith. Give Sean a round of applause, please. And next we have Morgan Studebaker. Let's give Morgan a round of applause, please. Our next PROD scholar is Eric Vining. Let's give Eric a round of applause, please. We'll give Eric an excuse for a slow limp. He just had surgery.
Congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate it, sir. Glad to be here. Oh, yeah, it's in there like that.
Next we have Jordaia Walker. Give Jordaia a round of applause, please. And next up we have Desiree Warner. Give Desiree a round of applause. Next up we have Destiny Warner. Let's give Destiny a round of applause, please. Our next PROD scholar is Talissa Warner. Give Talissa a round of applause, please. Good hustle, Talissa. Play on my team any day. Good hustle. Next we have Trinity Warner. Let's give Trinity a round of applause, please. Our next PROD scholar is Danielle Williams. Give Danielle a round of applause, please. And David Williams, Jr. Both of them. Let's give both of them a round of applause, please. They're out of town and their father's going to pick up their awards. Next we have Kalasia Williams. Kalasia's give Kalasia a round of applause. And Nevaeh Williams. Give Nevaeh a round of applause. I believe that should be all of our PROD scholars for this year. Let's give them all another round of applause, please. We're very thankful for, number one, your attendance and being here, the initiative and turning in not only the application, but your cumulative GPA that makes you eligible for the criteria. And we're just grateful for your parents, grandparents, extended family for making sure you guys are here. I know we would like to get a picture together if we could, if possible, before everybody breaks. And did we miss anybody? Please.
Did anybody sit down after they got their award?
Okay. Very good. If we could, let's get taller, older kids come and work our way this way. Younger kids down the front. I'd like to get a picture with everybody. Please, all of our scholars. If we get our board members in here as well, that'd be great, please.
You want me in this?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You don't know Sonny, do you?
Who?
You know this guy?
I was talking to him earlier.
I was gonna tell you. I was gonna apologize.
He's interesting.
I know.
No, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was giving around hard. Give him a hard time.
Yeah. So the one that's track my brother was track. Yeah, he used to coach up here, near Fremont, up near Tiffin. Yeah, but he moved to Florida. Yeah, he threw at UT back in the day. Yeah, a lot of good technique. Am I at the right place?
I know you're just like.
I'm tall enough, it doesn't matter. Going to a block. I just graduated.
Where you headed?
Open football and basketball.
You're fine.
Which one are we looking at?
Guess we're looking right down the middle. That's you, Peg. Get us, Chico.
Yeah, my cheeks hurt. Takes more muscles to frown than to smile. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. It doesn't seem like that.
I know. Oh, we got two left. Oh, what? That was all types of bad. Can we do a funny face with my cheeks?
God, I'm not fucking the frown on that. I think you guys are good.
Let's look at
Oh, I got one more. Ladies, come on back. Push them out. We see. We got at least get ready for his picture. You get a good one?
You want another one? Let's do one more.
Couple more.
Let's put another one.
Good. All right, guys. Thank you.
one more.
One more. Just right. All right, we're good, guys. Thank you, guys. Oh,
That's a workout right there.
That is.
Yeah?
At this time, we have our special awards presentation. If you guys could have a seat, we'll be finishing up here soon. We got some really important awards, some people that have supported PROD, and that at this time, Larry Hamilton, will pass it over to him, and he's going to present these awards. Did you up there, Larry, or no? Yes.
Matt? Mindy?
What's my role here?
Just stand here.
Okay. Stand here and look pretty.
Yeah.
Fake it to me.
As the founder and longtime president of PROD, I'm given the opportunity to make special presentations on my own. I don't have to have the approval of other PROD board members. So they've conferred that privilege upon me.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things that I have an opportunity to do is to honor our keynote speaker. And so I want to tell you a story because this is connected with not only our keynote speaker, but our President's Award as well. I was first made known of Matt Boaz as a result of an invitation I received to speak at an MLK celebration at the Lake campus of Wright State University in Salina. That didn't go well. It became complicated, and a part of the issue involving that invitation was centered around funding. So eventually, even though I had agreed to come and make a presentation, the offer was seemingly being rescinded not only because of the lack of funding, but also because of the uncertainty of the topic that I was going to be speaking on. Now, as a result of back and forth communication with the diversity committee at the Wright State University Lake campus, the name Matthew Boaz was mentioned. I decided that I needed to get in contact with Matt Boaz to see who he was and what he was about in connection with this issue of diversity, which was related to what I was going to be talking about at the campus on MLK Day. Now, to make this story round, Mindy Meininger Folks is here because she served on the diversity committee at the Lake campus at Wright State University. And it was Mindy who issued the invitation basically to have me come and speak through the planning committee at the Lake campus at Wright State University. So I want to thank Mindy for having enough confidence in me that I could come and make a presentation to the student body of the Wright State University Lake campus. But also as a result of that, I wound up knowing Matt Boaz.
Lucky guy.
Yeah, so we have 2 awards here. Matt Boaz, we're making this presentation to you as the keynote speaker. Says Promoting Recognition of Diversity, the Doug Smith Memorial Banquet 2018. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're making this presentation to Mindy Meininger Folks. It says President's Award, Promoting Recognition of Diversity, the Doug Smith Memorial Banquet 2018. Now, that whole issue, as I say, at Wright State Lake campus was complicated. But Mindy is a long-term teacher at Piqua City Schools, and she's even authored a book on stress on how not to or how to manage stress. So she was chilling the whole time that conversation was becoming a little complicated on the part of the planning committee at the Wright State. And Mindy's a good friend. She's been around a long time, and she's one of my children's favorite teachers. And so every time that, they talk about Piqua City Schools and their experience in, having teachers, they always mention Mindy Meiniger folks. So the President's Award, thank you.
You're the best. Thank you. It's okay. Sorry.
And her husband isn't smart enough to operate a smartphone, so that's why he's coming to talk with the teacher.
Okay, thanks.
The last presentation I had to make relates to, you guys can sit down.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Relates to the Friend of PROD Award. And Matt touched on a lot of aspects of where I want to go with this presentation. He talked about neighbors. He talked about being sources of light. He talked about love. I have a couple of neighbors who live down the street on Maplewood here in Piqua. And I can't say that we are great friends, but we are friendly towards one another. I can't say that we, fellowship, that I go over to their house and they come over to my house. We don't have that kind of relationship, but we know one another. They are a part of the neighborhood, and they're people who love their neighbors as themselves. They let their light shine. And they are friends of PROD, even though they're not necessarily a great friend of Larry Hamilton, who was the founder of PROD. Tell you how they operate. Every year there's an article that appears in the Piqua Daily Call announcing the PROD Doug Smith Memorial Scholarship Banquet. And it's in the paper, and as soon as it's in the paper, within 2 days I get a check.
Here.
And it's always this couple. They always send a check. I don't have to go around the neighborhood soliciting, begging for money. They know what the function and the purpose of PROD is as a result of having read the article year after year after year, and as soon as they see the article in the Piqua Daily Call, they put their check in the mail. They know the reason that they are giving is to be supportive of the community. So this couple can't be here this evening. They're getting up in their years and their mobility is a little limiting, but they are great friends and better neighbors within the community of Piqua. And their name is John and Kay Workman. Would you please give them a round of applause?
Thank you, Larry. Also, too, before we go into our closing remarks, I'd like to also point out that, obviously outside of this banquet year-round, we're working as an organization, and part of that work has to do with, obviously fundraising. And what do we fundraise for? A couple things. First thing being that we were fortunate enough this past year to make a bigger commitment to our scholarship recipients, and that's been something that, working with our board and Linda Hamilton as our treasurer, we kind of challenged ourselves, I'll say, and that we had, financially the ability to say, hey, we want to try and give these kids more money, And that led to us, saying that, we obviously need to raise more money. And we worked hard at this banquet at trying to make sure that we were efficient with our cost, so that our money could our dollars for PROD actually go to the purpose and our mission. So something I'll bring to your guys' attention is that, year round, as a 501c3, we're looking for donations to support our organization. We're also looking for willing and able bodies, as I spoke about before, meaning volunteers, people to help us with this banquet, as well as people to work on the board to help us, move this initiative forward. So if you have any interest in that, please reach out to me, myself, Larry, Mrs. Moore couldn't be here today, or Mrs. Hamilton, or any of our board members, but we're looking to grow our organization. At this time, I'm going to ask Pastor Monty to come forward and lead us in some closing remarks, please.
All right, I would just like to say thank you to all of the PROD board members. Could you all stand up? I'm quite sure the students know who you are, but those the parents and those individuals who do not, those who are standing are the ones who are responsible for putting together such a wonderful program. And could we give them another hand clap? Secondly, I would like to recognize all of the children who have been recognized and young adults who have been recognized to continue to do great educational things within your school systems, continue the great efforts and initiatives. It does not go in vain. And to all of the children who have come out to see you all receive an award, it encourages and inspires them. And so give yourselves a hand clap. To the keynote speaker, Mr. Boaz, a great resounding message, and we truly will take that to heart and to consideration and realize that there's so many diverse things that goes along with who every individual is. And so there was just a wonderful reminder to be more understanding of people and of different things and different cultures, different races, ethnicities. What a wonderful job. And let's give him another hand clap, please. All right, and now finally to the parents, guardians, aunts, uncles, grandparents, auntie TTs and them. Let's give yourselves a hand clap. Thank you for being instrumental in the homes. It starts in the home, and so we thank you for doing such a wonderful job with the children. With that said, can we all stand so we can go home? Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before your throne of mercy, Lord God. Thank you for once again for a wonderful year and educational soundness, Lord Father. We ask right now that you bless everyone who is standing, Lord God, that you just go with them, before them, that you lead, guide, and direct them in the path which you will have them to go. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.